Marianne Williamson, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
And she's here every Monday night at 7:30.
Thank you, thank you. I have a brief 2-hour talk to give to you tonight. Suzanne Wong told me to say that. I have had a wonderful time here this evening. There have been some very beautiful moments, and thank you for inviting me. And one of the most beautiful things I found here tonight was not just the specific performances or talks, was the energy in the room. It was what I have found very moving. Because clearly the establishment of this organization has tapped into something that is very sincere and very heartfelt. And that is an obvious yearning of people to be involved in this thing called transformation of the world through the transformation of media. So I'd like to very quickly talk about the whole concept of transformation. My colleague Gary Zukov said earlier tonight that all of us spiritual writers were sort of cordoned off in our own section. It was true. It was like the general population was being protected from us or something. Never knew when we might just go into spontaneous lecturing or something. And I am not in the entertainment field, but I am in the transformation field. And so I'd like to say a little something to those of you who are part of this initiatory phase of GATE. And that is that true transformation is hard. And I know that the excitement, the fervor of this evening, wow, we're going to transform the world through the transformation of media. You know, there's this characteristic overzealousness that we feel. Whenever we are part of a new opening of possibility. And that is something to be cherished and protected and loved. But at the same time, with everything in life, we make a decision whether we are going to play it shallow or play it deep. And I know all the people who are here tonight, all the people who are the founders of this organization, they're not doing it just to play. You're doing it because you want to do something deep and meaningful. And so in order to do something deep and meaningful, if we really want to have a transformative effect, I think we need to have a deep and meaningful conversation with ourselves about what that means. First of all, we have no transformational effect on the world if we're not seeking to transform ourselves. Now, I believe that American cinema, film, television, we're living in one of its golden ages right now. I'm as big a fan of the movies as could possibly be. I'm as big a fan of great acting, great directing, great screenwriting, all of those things. I believe, it's not just a belief, obviously, drama and music came out of the temples. It's all a priestly role. I believe a great actor is channeling from some etheric realm, a character which actually exists in some other etheric realm. I have tremendous respect. But at the same time, if this organization wants to be real and have any gravitas and have any legs and have any real effect in this industry or in this culture, let's be real. The entertainment business needs some serious transformation. This business needs some serious transformation. When Annie Lennox was speaking earlier, about women's rights, and yes, like Frances Fisher, damn right, I'm a feminist. When Annie Lennox was speaking earlier about women's rights and how women are oppressed throughout the world, let us be honest with ourselves. If GATE is going to be serious, how women are oppressed throughout movies and TV in the United States of America. The gratuitous violence towards women, and I'm all for the right use of violence or sex when it's used for artistic purposes. And sometimes life is a tragedy. You don't tell someone like a William Shakespeare, stay away from the tragedy. Great art can have violence in it, and great art obviously can have sexuality in it. But the gratuitous violence that is used for no other reason than to catch people's attention when we know sociologically the effect that this has on our children. And not only gratuitous violence, but gratuitous sex is also violent. It is emotionally violent. It is violent towards women, and it is violent towards men as well. So I hope that GATE, in having your workshops, in having the work that you do, I hope that you will have also the kinds of workshops and deep reflective conversations that have to do with a deep atonement for the mistakes that we ourselves have made. Looking at ourselves in whatever area, whether it has to do in entertainment with gratuitous sex, gratuitous violence, the treatment of women. I remember there was actually a television, it calls itself Television for Women, which has one gratuitous murder, one gratuitous act of violence against women after another. And why is it that in this business women cannot age? You want to be transformative of the world, transform yourself. Not only are women terrified, absolutely terrified to age in this industry, some of the coolest, hippest things, I promise you, are happening to people after 50 in love and sex and everything else, and that could be on television, and that could be in the movies. And I'll tell you something else. I'll tell you something else that I see in my line of work, and it is heartbreaking. And every other industry but the entertainment industry knows that it's illegal. It is illegal in other industries to cut people out of work because they have physical disabilities. I lived through the AIDS crisis. And we all know how important it was for people to be able to come out and say they have AIDS. I have seen firsthand how many people in this business are living with cancer, are living with multiple sclerosis, or living with all kinds of physical disabilities, and they do everything that they can to make sure that it is not seen by the director or the casting agent, lest they would not get the job. So I believe that those of you who are part of this organization have an obviously astounding opportunity to do something important, but we can't do anything important without looking at our own shadows and our own darkness. And I hope that GATE will have the workshops on that. And then the big one, ladies and gentlemen. Every time I go to any left-wing humanitarian benefit or cause-related activity in this town, and I go to a lot of them, I see a lot of people from the entertainment business, because a lot of actors, a lot of directors, a lot of people who are very important in the entertainment business are absolute crusaders for brotherhood and justice when it comes to this planet. Well, I would like to see some of those magnificent crusaders for brotherhood and justice out of this industry take a good look at the corporate malfeasance of this industry and the billions of dollars spent by this industry every single year exporting nothing short of vile crap to the people of this planet. An Egyptian diplomat said to me in the late 90s, he rushed after me in an Egyptian hotel in Cairo after I had had a meeting with the head mufti of Egypt, and he said, Ms. Williamson, there is something that the American people need to understand, and perhaps you could tell them, as though I had a megaphone and I could tell the American people. He said, the American people need to understand. More Americans need to come to this part of the world. He said, this job, Ms. Williamson, is something that the CIA cannot do. It is something that your governments cannot do. He said this to me in the late 90s, but he said, if it is not done, something terrible will happen. He said, people from your part of the world need to come here and get to know us. And if they come here and get to know us, they will respect us, and then they will understand us. And they will not send here the kinds of television and the kinds of movies which make it very difficult for bad people, Ms. Williamson, to convince ignorant people that America is a demon and America is bad, because they feel that your values are so terrible. He said, Ms. Williamson, I know that that's not the American people, but know how many people in the world do not know that. So I'm all for you, Gate. I believe in the mesmerization of Hollywood. I believe in the extraordinary power, transformative power of art. I believe in the confluence and the morphic field that emerges from a night like tonight, when everybody with a common yearning can come together and feel what Martin Luther King called the cosmic companionship. And all of us can open, and the chakras can open, and the brain cells can open, and we can bring down from the ethers all the most extraordinary manna from heaven, the art, the creative endeavor, the brilliance, all those talents that we haven't even begun with. We can do that, and we must do that. But we must do it with responsibility, and we must do it with knowledge that we always haven't been so perfect either. The bottom line, the malfeasant, the unethical, the unbalanced bottom line by which money is placed before all else, by which money is the bottom line that replaces all humanitarian values, is a corruption that has infected this industry as much as any other. And for us to know that in our own personal lives, you, those of you who are artists, those of you who are actors, those of you who are directors, what are you going to do when somebody offers you $1,000 or $10,000 or $1 million to do a scene that you know should not be in there, that you know is wrong, that you know is bad for women, that you know is gratuitous? Will you stand up? Will you have the courage? And if you do that, you will kick ass. God bless you. Thank you.